Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. So, it is the last day of the month, which means I'm going to be going through and ranking every single movie that I saw in the month of December. I will say this, because it is the holiday season and because there's a lot going on this month, I only got to the theaters twice. So, there were a lot of really good movies that came out in the month of December, but I sadly kind of missed the majority of them. So, I'm going to be ranking all 7 of the movies that I did see that came out in December, and fair warning, the majority of these were not great. But let's dive into this. Alrighty, so starting off this list in dead last place, coming in at number 7, we have Candy Cane Lane. This was a streaming movie, I believe it was on Amazon Prime, starring Eddie Murphy. And it was supposed to be a fun little Christmas movie. It looked like it was going to be a comedy. Eddie Murphy, in the past, has been one of the funniest stand-up comedians, and he has a lot of great comedic works. This year was just a really rough year for him. I think that this movie was incredibly unfunny. I think that the plot was very basic and boring, and it wasn't very interesting to watch. And I just overall think that this movie was just hard to get through. There are definitely moments of it that I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fun. I could see why they would put that in a Christmas movie. But then there's other parts of it where I'm like just waiting for this movie to be done. Overall, did not enjoy it. Already coming in at number 6, we have A Silent Night. This was an action movie starring Joel Kinnaman. I saw this at the very beginning of the month, and it was incredibly disappointing. This movie had great trailers. It looked like it was going to be a fun little action movie. The overall plot, though, was mostly that this guy lost his kid, and he was going to be going around on Christmas killing a bunch of people, and there wasn't going to be a lot of words. It was going to be a lot of silent. It was going to be silent. And it was really weird because, the silence didn't really feel like a choice that they planned on making. It felt more like an afterthought. And there were a lot of moments where, the silence actually just made the scene way more uncomfortable. There was a couple of action sequences that were really cool, but for the most part, this movie just felt it felt very tone deaf. The main character, he lost his son around Christmas time, and it was a very traumatic thing. And he basically was like, I am going to make sure that the people who did this pay for it. But also, he's out in public, and he's shooting guns really willy-nilly, and he's getting into a bunch of fights that could potentially cause for other people to lose their family members. And it just felt really awkward. Coming in at number 5, we have Netflix's sci-fi movie that came out this month. We got The Rebel Moon, A Child on Fire Part 1, whatever the name is. It is super long. The Rebel Moon movie. Zack Snyder. Personally, I didn't hate this movie as much as I think a lot of people online did. I know so many people online were like, this is the most disappointing movie ever. A bunch of people are saying, why would you even bother putting out this movie if there's going to be a better version? Which I fully agree with. I honestly do kind of hate the fact that Netflix went out and was like, we're going to put out this half-assed movie, and we're going to have Zack Snyder go on a little press tour, and he's going to talk about how his version of the movie was 10 times better. If you guys have both versions of the movies, and you've recorded both, and Zack Snyder directed, this full epic that's rated R, first of all, why did you make it rated PG-13 and take away the rated R stuff? Because more than likely, it was rated R for a reason, and it probably had a deeper meaning. And second of all, there was a complete story that was probably coherent somewhere in that editing room, and they purposely were like, let's trim it down to being not as interesting, not as epic, not as cool. And it really bothers me because this movie felt like it could have been really interesting, but it was just setup on top of setup on top of introducing 20 characters that, good luck remembering their names, good luck remembering the purpose that they're going to serve in this. And it's just terrible. We see a lot of really great visuals, which I will say this, the visuals in this is absolutely incredible. I think that the sound design is great. From a technical standpoint, this movie is pretty good, but it lacks emotional weight. It lacks characterization. It lacks a lot of things that you really need for a movie like this to be successful. The only reason why I think that this movie isn't completely terrible is because compared to other sci-fis that have come out this year, which, surprise, we haven't had pretty much any good sci-fi movies come out this year, it's got the visuals that you want. It's got some moments in there that work really well, but overall the movie just falls flat on its face. Coming in at number 4, we got Aquaman 2. I did not like this movie, at all, but it is this high on the list because December was just such a not great month for movies when it comes to, streaming movies. And this movie is the final chapter of the DCEU, and it was a giant dumpster fire, like a lot of the other DCEU movies. I loved Aquaman 1. I think Aquaman 1 was great, and I think that they really should have kind of came along the same storyline. Well, not necessarily the same storyline, but they should have followed up Aquaman's arc. The end of that first movie was Aquaman becoming king and realizing he has this giant responsibility that he needs to have to be the ruler of the sea and to help bridge, the people of Atlantis and the people of, the earth, like, what's it called? The above water people, whatever, us regular humans. And he basically realized, he needs to be a bridge for them and he needs to be a ruler for, Atlantis. And it sets up that he's ready to be a ruler. It sets up that he's matured now. It sets up so much great things that, Aquaman is going to be like a cool ruler who actually, cares about his people and is actually, serious for once. And then you come into this movie and Aquaman is once again just a super silly person. There's a lot of really bad like pee jokes and poop jokes with the baby. There's Black Manta once again trying to carry the film, and it does kind of bother me. Like, there are so many cool Aquaman villains you could have chose from. Just reusing the same one from the first movie and not even really adding any character depth to him at all really bothers me. It just bothers me so much because like the end of Aquaman 1 sets up great character like arcs for these characters. Like Aquaman becoming king would have been a cool movie to watch. This entire movie, he's just goofing around and being his same like loner self that he was in the first Justice League movie, and it bothers me because this is now the third movie we've seen Jason Momoa's Aquaman where he plays the exact same character with no character development, no character growth. And you can tell Jason Momoa is having a blast making this movie, but it also bothers me because they don't take any of it seriously. I feel like this movie suffers from the same problem that Thor: Love and Thunder had, where they were like, oh, people like comedy and superhero movies, let's just do that. And it bothers me because there was so much like good storytelling that they could have done in this, and it had none of that. And it was the last DCU movie, and it didn't wrap up anything. Coming in at number 3, we are finally getting to the movies that I enjoyed. We got the movie May December. I think this movie is an incredibly dark movie. I think that there's a very interesting story here about how actors can kind of take things too far. People can kind of take things too far. Natalie Portman's character is very, very interesting in this, and it's very deep. And I'm still like, I'm gonna be honest, this is one of the more like adult films that I've seen. I'm still confused about what the ending of this movie really truly means, but I think that it has great acting portrayals. I think that it has really good cinematography. I think that the like lighting and the tones and stuff that they use in this are great, and I think that they do such a good job of building tension in this. There's a lot of sequences where it's just Charles Melton's character, Julianne Moore's character, and Natalie Portman's character sitting at a dining room table, and they're just like slowly having these like long conversations, and it's so like enticing. Like it gets you really like into what they're currently talking about, and it just brings so much tension. It brings so much mystery. It's so eerie and like dark, but not necessarily in a horror way, just in a very dramatic way. And I really think that this movie was incredibly solid. I liked it. Coming in second place, this one to me felt like a Christmas movie, and then I realized it wasn't a Christmas movie, and I was like, that's so weird. It just like, I like this movie so much, and I think that it really helped just the time of year that I was watching it. But we got The Family Plan. This was an Apple TV original starring Mark Wahlberg, and I thought this movie was great. It was incredibly funny. I think that the family dynamic works incredibly well. The sister and the brother kind of feel like there actually could be sisters and brothers, and I feel like this movie does a really good job of showcasing the relationship between parents and their kids. And like sometimes as kids are getting into their later teen stages, they kind of have this disconnect with their parents, and I think that they do a really good job of showcasing Mark Wahlberg's character kind of understanding his kids a little bit more and kind of being able to get close to them and understand them, and kind of really feels like a good just family movie. Like it's a very fun movie. I definitely would recommend watching it with your family. It's a great action movie. This movie might be rated R. I don't know. There are some action sequences where like really gory things happen and you see it, but then there's other parts where I'm like, I don't think they really go that hard that it's rated R. So I just suggested watching it with your family. Maybe check the rating first. If it's not rated R, you're good. If it is rated R, I'm sorry. But this was just such a funny movie that I loved, and I had a great time with it, and I definitely think that it is somehow the second best movie I've seen in December. In a month where we had movies like Poor Things, and we've had, The Iron Claw. So many good movies came out this month, and I somehow managed to pick the worst 7 to watch. But that being said, coming in at number 1, we have the movie Wonka. I absolutely love this movie. I will say this. This was one of my favorite theatrical experiences the entire year. I watched it in theaters and I was smiling the entire time. There were a bunch of songs that were just so giddy and fun and brings back this childhood sense of wonder. I will say this movie to me brings a sense of nostalgia that is just so rich that I don't think you could like manufacture anywhere else. And I think it's very interesting because it's not even necessarily like, oh my god, I was such a huge fan of the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movies or the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movies. It's just something about it brings home that magic that you used to feel when you were a kid and you'd go to see the movies, or you'd go to a candy shop and you'd be able to fill up those little tubes with whatever candies and stuff you want. It just feels like a great childhood movie, and it feels amazing. I love the all of the songs in it are pretty great. They're nothing that's gonna stand out and you're gonna be thinking about it like years from now, like, oh my god, that was a great song. But they're fun and they work really well in the movie. There's a lot of comedic songs, which I think are great. I like that musicals, a lot of times they're expected to, you know, be known for their like power ballads and their really emotional songs. And sometimes like the villains will get cool little, you know, songs in there as well. But in this one, the majority of the songs are just like silly little campy songs. And I love it because this movie just had such a great sense of self-identity that they knew what they were trying to do. They're trying to make like fun, lighthearted songs. They're trying to make people laugh. They're trying to put a smile on people's faces. And it worked really well. Like, I feel like I was smiling the majority of this movie. And then by the end of the movie, you also have such a rich story with interesting characters that are getting developed slowly. And you're realizing as the story progresses, you know, little different things about each of them that are great. And I really like the way that this movie ends. And it had like a really good conclusion. And it made me tear up. I thought it was beautiful. But yeah, with that being said, that was it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. Please let me know down below your guys' list for the movies you've seen in December. Personally, I really hope you guys got out to see some of the better movies that have came out in December, because I'm really sad that I missed out on Poor Things. It's not playing at the theater near me, and it's not even playing at the bigger theater that's a couple towns over. So I don't know where it's playing, and I really wish I had a chance to see it, but I hadn't. And then same thing with the Iron Claw. That one is one that is not playing at the theaters near me, but it looks so good, and I've heard so many people talking about how emotional and beautiful it is. I realized I forgot to mention before the ranking that I haven't seen those two specific movies. So that being said, I'm sorry if I gave any of you guys a heart attack when I put some of these movies really high up on my list, and you're like, he hasn't mentioned Poor Things yet, and he hasn't mentioned this movie yet. But yeah, that was it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. If you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow, bow, bow.
He wanted me to drop a verse, I did this. We planned a day, then we did this. Wanna be in love with the girls with the kisses. Don't give a damn, I'll rid this. I like this when I run the distance. I run a 5K, you go ballistics. I wanna live within the business. Buy more than what's on the clearances. You're getting banned cause I know you're a physicist. I wanna deny this shit, I'm unlimited.